Chapter 91. Making Up. After dropping Lily off at the orphanage, Ava got in the car to go home. After playing all day, her bones felt like they were falling apart. She planned to stop by her villa first before going to the Hart house. There were some things she needed to get. Ava stopped the car, leaned over to grab her bag from the passenger seat, pushed open the door, and got out. She walked around the front of the car, massaging her sore neck as she headed toward the villa. The figure under the entrance lighting made her involuntarily stop in her tracks. Woof, woof! Seven pushed off with both legs and bounded toward Ava. When he crashed into her legs, she felt a bit unsteady. Ava thought Seven seemed to have gotten fatter since she'd returned to the country. Ava's hand holding her bag tightened slightly. She wasn't sure if Wesley had come to find her, because he could accept being child-free, or because he wanted to break up in person. Ava exhaled. Just as she was about to lift her leg, Wesley had already rushed over in a few strides and pulled her tightly into his embrace. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have left you there that day. I don't want to break up." The moment he'd learned Ava had gone to the amusement park with Adrian and Lily, all those other thoughts had been cast aside. He only knew he couldn't lose her, so he'd compromised. Life was only so long anyway. It didn't have to include children. Besides, his older brother and younger sister would have kids, and they'd be his family too. The instant the bedroom door was pushed open, Ava kissed Wesley. "Once you're in my bed, there's no going back. Ava cupped Wesley's face, her eyes playful. That day when Wesley hadn't chased after her, she'd thought they were completely done. But he'd come today, said he didn't care, said what he cared about more was her. Ava's heart was like a balloon inflating bit by bit, full and swollen. Her heart beat uncontrollably. She didn't know how much sincerity was behind Wesley's claim not to care. But right now, in this moment, she just wanted to use actions to tell him how much she liked him. "Where's Ava? Why isn't she back yet?" Monica stopped Mrs. Quinn, who was about to leave. She'd clearly said she'd come home for dinner tonight, but by 9 o'clock, there was still no sign of her. "Miss might have been delayed by something." Monica's expression soured. She felt annoyed with herself for instinctively asking the housekeeper about her daughter's whereabouts. Why was she asking a servant? She waved her hand, letting Mrs. Quinn leave first. "Mom, what's wrong?" When Grace pushed the door open, she saw Monica looking worried. She suppressed the fatigue on her face, raising a faint smile as she sat down beside Grace. "Your sister said she'd come home for dinner tonight, but she still hasn't come back." Monica sighed softly. It wasn't until a few days ago that she'd heard from a familiar society lady about what had happened at Clearwater Village last year. She hadn't realized such a major incident had occurred without her daughter mentioning a word of it. During that time, her daughter had gone to the Hale house every day. She'd thought it was to cultivate feelings with the youngest Hale son. She hadn't realized it was because Wesley had been injured. Lately, Ava hadn't been staying at home. She'd called several times, but her daughter always said she was too busy with dance practice and had no time. Not until yesterday had she agreed to come home for dinner today, but dinner time had come and gone without any sign of her. Even now, she still hadn't come home. Grace seemed to suddenly think of something. "Mom, you haven't eaten yet, have you?" When she'd first started at the company, sometimes work was too busy and she had to work overtime. Mom would always skip dinner and wait for her to get off work so they could eat together. Monica didn't speak, and Grace knew she'd guessed right. She couldn't help but think of seeing Ava at the amusement park today. She'd clearly been free, yet she wasn't willing to come back and have one meal with Mom. Chapter 92. Can you be biased? "Hello." Half asleep, Ava answered the phone. "What time even is it?" "I'll come back tomorrow." Monica stood on the balcony, one hand braced on the railing. The knuckles on her other hand holding the phone had turned white. "Ava, why is your voice hoarse? Get home right now." Hearing her daughter's voice, Monica's expression instantly darkened. 4 years abroad, and who knew what nonsense she'd learned? An unmarried girl insisting on buying her own villa to live in, never home more than a few days. "Mom, you gave birth to me. I shouldn't need to explain this to you, right? I'm sleeping. Hanging up now." A dial tone sounded from the phone. Monica was so angry she threw her phone. "What are you throwing a tantrum about in the middle of the night?" Philip's voice came from the bedroom. Right now, Monica was like a lit firecracker, especially thinking about how all these years, because of her husband, her relationship with her own daughter had become so shallow. She could no longer contain her anger. Monica strode into the bedroom. "You're asking why I'm angry? Your daughter still isn't home past midnight, and as her father, have you ever worried once?" Philip only felt his wife was being unreasonable. "You're her mother. Shouldn't these things be your responsibility? I've been working all day. I'm already exhausted." Monica was utterly shocked. She looked up at her husband, at that face she'd loved for over 20 years. For him. Hadn't she done enough? In his heart, had he ever considered the daughter she bore to be his own daughter? "Do you even consider Ava your own child? Her whole life, you've never cared about anything concerning her. Every time, you just tell me not to be biased." "I haven't been biased. But what about you? Can you be biased?" Philip looked away indifferently. "You're the one who wanted to have the child." Monica's body went rigid. Getting pregnant with her daughter had been an accident. It was half a year after Evelyn's death. That day she'd taken Grace out to play. When dropping Grace off, she'd run into Philip looking at Evelyn's photo in remembrance. Grace had asked her to stay for dinner, which she naturally hadn't refused. That day, both she and Philip had drunk quite a bit. That one time had resulted in her daughter. Philip had said he could marry her, but hoped that after marriage, she'd take good care of Grace and not have the child. He didn't want Grace to feel like there was an outsider in the house later. At the time, she couldn't bear to give up her child with Philip, and promised him she'd treat Grace well. Philip had ultimately agreed to let her have the daughter. After her daughter was born, afraid her husband would accuse her of favoritism, she'd devoted most of her attention to Grace. But that was the child she'd carried for 10 months, her only daughter. Yet her husband paid her no mind whatsoever. "What's wrong?" Wesley drowsily pulled Ava back into his embrace, burying his face in her chest, his voice thick with sleep. "My mom wants me to come home." "Did something happen to Auntie?" Wesley lifted his head. Ava pressed her lips together. "Probably my dad's out entertaining clients and not back yet. She's bored with nothing to do, so she's making a token phone call to me." After all, she'd promised to come home, and then didn't. She'd challenged her mother's dignity as a parent. "Does Uncle often come home very late?" Wesley held Ava, asking softly. "When you've married a wife you don't love, of course you don't want to come home early." Wesley paused slightly. He'd heard vague rumors that Ava's parents' relationship seemed average, but when he'd gone to the Hart house, Mr. and Mrs. Hart had seemed respectful toward each other. Not quite like the outside rumors suggested their relationship was on the verge of collapse. "I won't." Wesley's lips curved as he kissed the corner of Ava's mouth. "I'll definitely be counting down the minutes until I can rush home every day before work even ends." Ava laughed and asked back, "Are you setting yourself up for failure right now?" "Whether it's a setup or not, you'll know after we're married." "Stop tickling me." "Can't sleep anymore." As the words fell, Ava's waist tightened, and when she came back to her senses, she was already lying on top of Wesley. "Ambushing me?" Ava's hand quietly reached down, aiming for Wesley's waist, tickling him until he laughed out loud. The bedroom filled with laughter and playfulness, then gradually replaced by heavy breathing.